Welcome to a winning edition of Between the Lines, fueled by Gatorade here in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Ben, the Vikings win 28-25, winning on a double doink. Mark Rosen, a double doink Lutz field goal for the New Orleans Saints that he missed on the last play of the game. And Mark Rosen said, in London tonight, it's going to be 2-for-1 double doinks on beers.
Yeah.
So go there and ask, I guess, the bartender what you want to drink.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun if we could stay.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not staying, but it'd be fun if we could stay. We stick around the stadium, go to some of the local pubs, and I wonder what they'd say if I'll say, I'll take a double doink.
You get a 2-for-1.
Yeah, not just one. We can get two.
Well, the Vikings get 2 straight wins, last-second fashion. A win is a win, like we always say, but at the same time, this was a game where the New Orleans Saints had 10 penalties, 2 turnovers, and they didn't look their best. How would you define this win for this Minnesota Vikings team?
Look, I know that we're into October. We're not quite to Halloween, but to me, this game, it was a scary win. The game, the way it all started out with a lot of their offensive starters, I'm talking about the New Orleans Saints, out of this game. As a former player, I always kind of worry about, like, are we going to play down to the level of the competition? Are we gonna take a deep breath and say, oh, okay, the starting quarterback's out. Oh, okay, the number one wide receiver's out. Their left guard is out. Kamara's out. Their number one running back is out. It's like, okay, we got this game in the bag. You do sort of worry about that. And then as the game goes on, you see that Dalton was playing really well. Yep. They were finding some balance. They were finding ways to chip away at our defense. They gave the ball away to us. We took the ball away twice, once on special teams and once on defense. So it seems like a lot of things are going our way, but yet here they were sticking around in the game. Yeah. So it worried me as the game went on, because you keep a team like this around, they're going to come back in the fourth quarter and bite you. And thankfully, we did just enough in the fourth quarter to win this game, and then you get the double doink.
Before we talk X's and O's, can you just describe the way we were starting to win games? Because a few years ago, it was a little bit tougher. But the fact that this Minnesota Vikings team continues to find ways to win, even though these are unforeseen circumstances, how are we able to do that?
Well, it just seems like, and I'll use Coach O'Connell's words. I mean, this is a resilient group. Yeah. He's wanted this team to get tested. Let's keep in mind that he did not play any of his starters in the preseason. So we didn't see these guys with any sort of, quote, kind of meaningful reps until the first game of the season. They looked great against Green Bay. Then they've hit some adversity in every game since then. And he talks about, I want to see how this team responds to adversity. And I think this team is resilient. They're making the plays when they need to make plays. It's not always pretty. We couldn't find much rhythm. We couldn't run against this really stout front seven defense of the New Orleans Saints. It's like everything that we tried to do to try to find a rhythm, they were combating and beating us. So I just think that overall we're making plays at the end of the game when we need to make plays, and forcing them to create penalties. How many times we've seen these last couple games where their defensive backs are creating penalties against us to give us more opportunities. I
mean, there were 2 penalties by the New Orleans Saints defense on the second to last drive of the game, where they had a defensive pass interference on third down and a defensive holding on third down. So we kind of got lucky because we got the ball at the 3-yard line. Justin Jeffries goes on to score the touchdown. But one thing that you talked to Kevin O'Connell about was we need to run the ball better. And Kevin O'Connell agreed. Yeah. What did you get out of that conversation with him when it came to trying to get this run game going forward?
Well, I do think that he feels a little bit frustrated that, they have a plan. Obviously, they feel very confident about the plan. They come in each and every week. But it just seems like it's really, really hard to kind of get some yards and get up to the second level where the linebackers are with our running backs. It doesn't seem like our offensive line are really firing off the football. We have a lot of one-back runs, which is synonymous with this offense. But we have seen, and maybe this is my own personal opinion and because we've seen so much of it in the past, but we've seen a lot of C.J. Ham, a lot of fullback in the backfield, a lot of H-back, tight end type stuff in the backfield, and Dalvin then using his vision and quickness to kind of run off of those big blocks. And I don't think that we're using that as much. We're not utilizing that as much. So hopefully, as we get past this fourth game and we go on to the season, maybe they start to realize, like, hey, man, C.J. Ham is actually a pretty good player. Yeah. And we've had a lot of success with Dalvin running behind him. Maybe we start to see a little bit more of that, and we see more offensive linemen just stick their hand on the ground, get their weight on their toes, and just running forward.
Running forward is the name of the game, and If we can do that on offense and then stop them on defense, that is the recipe for success.
Right.
But another thing we need to do on the defensive side of the ball is try to limit their tight ends. One of their tight ends, Troutman, had 3 receptions for 33 yards. The other one, Johnson, can't think of his first name, 3 receptions, 30 yards. As a former linebacker who had to cover tight ends, how do you negate that, especially when it looked like they were picking on Harrison Smith and Jordan Hicks today, just going right at them with their tight ends?
Well, I know a couple times, Jordan had a great jam on the tight end. He got a little bit too much width after that. He's got to really stick his left foot in the ground and get back and get deep vertically. He would have been right in that passing window. So small technical thing.
Okay.
The Harrison Smith one, I know the play that you're talking about where he is the first defender out on the sideline, but to me, it's hard for safeties who are lined up, on the hash to take care of that part of the field up against the sideline. So I don't know if it's a coverage thing from the corners or what it is, but when a tight end is catching the ball down the field, look, these tight ends are not running 4-3. These tight ends are they're 4-5, 4-6 guys. They're not getting down the field super fast. So what it tells me is we're not getting to the quarterback quick enough. We're not creating pressure quick enough. If you're letting tight ends kill you down the field, that means the quarterback has time to throw and time to sit back and assess and wait for them to run off the leverage of the defenders. So I think it is rush and coverage have to work together, and I don't think the rush is doing a great job.
Well, the rush has to do a better job next week against the Chicago Bears, Ben, but check this out. The Vikings are 3-1.
Yeah.
They're heading back home to face the Chicago Bears at US Bank Stadium with a chance of going 4-1. How exciting is that for you?
Oh, super exciting because we're 2-0 in the division,
that's
and we get an early test for this team with this new offense, new defense to play some divisional opponents in the bulk of the first third of the season, and we're 2-0 already. We get a chance to go 3-0 in the division, and that's huge. I mean that's huge because we all think that this team is going to get better.
Greg Manusky,
yeah, Greg Manusky, he's the best. We all think that this team is going to get better, so if we can rally off these wins in the division when we're probably not quite 100% right where we need to be, I think it's very optimistic as the season goes on when we have to face them again.
Love it. Vikings fans, whether it's a double doink or a PAT, the Vikings are still 3-1, going back at home at US Bank Stadium this upcoming Sunday. So we're looking forward to seeing you loud, wearing purple, hopefully getting another win against a divisional opponent. For Ben Leber, Ryan O'Neill, my name is Gabe Henderson. Thank you again for tuning into another edition of Between the Lines, fueled by Gatorade here in London.